Now we come to the characters who are going to bring to life your story and your theme. You can do a lot of things with characters. You can have great fun with them. Don't forget, no matter how dark the story might be, to have a little humour. And the advantage of being the writer is that you can control the stories because you can come up with the perfect punchline and then go back to set it up. I remember doing that once with one of the Victorian stories. Monk was a little bit dour and a little bit frightened, and Hester had been a nurse in the Crimea with Florence Nightingale. She's got rather a sharp tongue. And he says early on in their acquaintance, "I hate clever women." She says, "Oh, I love clever men." It looks as if we're both to be disappointed. But back to the war stories. They involve 4 adult siblings in the Reevely family. The eldest is Joseph, and he's in his late 30s. He is a chaplain, a priest. The second is Hannah, the eldest sister. She's married to a naval officer, and she has children. The third is Matthew. He's single, and he's in Secret Intelligence Service. The fourth is Judith, and she is still a little bit wild. She left to drive around the countryside very fast in her father's car. She'll end up on the battlefields driving an ambulance, which is a very different thing. They all have a backstory, and that is the things that happened in their lives before we meet them, which make them into the person that they are. Now, you, the writer, need to know the backstory. I would suggest you write half a page to a page of backstory on your main 2 or 3 characters. And that should include your protagonist and your antagonist, because nobody fights to the most desperate last ditch against an enemy who's not worthy of them. Joseph's backstory is that he was married and he loved his wife deeply. Didn't know her very well because they're fairly newly married. But she died in childbirth, so he lost his wife and his child in one devastating night. Now, he still wants very much to be a good man and a good chaplain, but he does not want to become emotionally involved. He gives up having an active parish priest position because he just doesn't want to get involved in other people's pain. But he wants to be a good priest. Now, those 2 things are mutually conflicting. You cannot really help people if you refuse to be involved in their pain. So, therefore, his goal is going to be very difficult to achieve. It's a good thing to get a conflict so that you yourself are stepping in your own way, because then you have to resolve it. You can't get rid of somebody else and say, right, it's your fault. And very often we have mixed and conflicting feelings, and the internal conflict, the battle with ourselves, is one of the most interesting and the most productive, and that's where we grow. Hannah, the eldest sister, she wants to be like her mother, and she does not want to face change, and the world is completely changing. World War I, the war to end all wars, saw the end of history as it used to be. If you look at a picture of a woman before the war, with her almost ankle-length dress, very feminine, very soft, very gentle, and you think of what happened during the war and the changes, and after the war, short skirts, short hair, independence, the vote, many jobs, that's a tremendous change for 4 or 5 years. And change can be frightening. And then there's Matthew, who works in the Secret Intelligence Service. That's a hard change as well. He's half ashamed of what he does because his father loathed it, and he thought very, very highly of his father. And it's a deep conflict for him to be able to have to fight the secret war, and yet he's a young, healthy man, and other people's husbands, brothers, fathers, sons are on the Western Front fighting and dying. What's this healthy man doing here at home? Apparently doing nothing. Gets given the white feather in the streets a few times. How do you contain your temper and not say, look, I'm fighting a different war. You need me as much as you need everybody else. And then there's Judith. She's a little bit irresponsible. She learns through many, many hard lessons that if you do follow your heart and follow your conscience as opposed to what other people say you should be doing, it comes at a high price, but it also brings you a high reward. And then there is the peacemaker. He is the main antagonist. He is the man who wants to create peace at any cost. And you think, what a dreadful man. He's prepared to murder, to lie, to cheat, to steal, to betray.